Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this webinar of the Future Classroom Lab titled Teaching for Tomorrow, Teacher Success in the Digital Age. My name is Konstantinos Andronikidis, and I work for European Schoolnet. And today I have the pleasure to be your host. Before we start introducing our speakers, and for those that do not know us, European Schoolnet is a network of ministries of education, and our mission is to inspire and support our members, as well as schools, teachers, and relevant education stakeholders in Europe in the transformation of education processes for 21st century digitized societies. We do this by identifying and testing promising innovative practices, sharing evidence about their impact, and supporting and mainstreaming teaching and learning practices aligned with 21st century standards for inclusive education. Future Classroom Lab is an initiative of European Schoolnet and also an inspirational learning environment located in Brussels that challenges visitors to rethink the role of pedagogy, technology, and design in their classrooms. Today's webinar is organized in collaboration with Lenovo and Intel, two global technology companies, who are also partners of the Future Classroom Lab. And today we are very happy to be joined by experts who will introduce us to the Skills for Innovation professional development platform, the collaboration that Lenovo and Intel have built together, and some of the newest activities and offers for teachers. The experts today will offer an overview of Intel's Skills for Innovation impact on fostering a tech-enabled learning environment. And the highlight of the session will be an interactive demonstration of Eyes on Wildlife project, an AI-driven starter pack designed to teach students how to use Python and AI to detect poaching activities. So now, in a moment, I will introduce you to our speakers, bringing them to the live. So first, I'm introducing Rasmus. So Rasmus Borsch is EMEA Services and Solutions Business Development Manager, and he will introduce us the work that Lenovo is doing to help teachers in their professional development and also explain a bit about the collaboration with Intel. I also would like to introduce Simon Johnson, Senior Consultant at Tablet Academy, who will delve into the question of how professional development can empower teachers to prepare students for the jobs of the future. And I will also remove this so that we can also introduce our final speaker for today, Crystal Lau, Intel Skills for Innovation Global Program Manager. Welcome, Crystal, who will share with us a bit more about Intel Skills for Innovation role in artificial intelligence education and wildlife conservation. After their presentation, we will have some time to address any comments or questions you might have. So feel free to share your thoughts, comments, and questions in the Q&A section on the platform that you are watching from. So now I will give directly the floor to Rasmus. I hope you're still there with us, Rasmus.
I am, but with a very bad picture, so I'll switch off the video. But hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Konstantinos, and having us. So I'm here to introduce the new thing from Lenovo, and I just give you a little bit of background on what we're doing. So Lenovo is a company that produces a lot of PCs, and have been selling into education for a lot of years. Actually, in EMEA alone, we're selling more than 1 million PCs a year into education. So it's a really, really big business. But it also gives us a chance to see a lot of different ways of implementing and trying to utilize technology in learning and teaching. And so one of the components that we see over and over again has the greatest effect when you try to introduce technology in the classroom is when teachers and leaders get the right professional development, ongoing professional development. And so what we have been working on lately is introducing exactly these elements. And to be able to do so, we partnered up with two companies. So first, we partnered up with TA, and in a minute you'll hear from Simon on what they're doing. But just a short introduction from me would be to say that TA is actually Tablet Academy, and don't get confused by the name. They've been around in the professional development business internationally for more than 10 years. They started when tablets, iPads were the really big thing. but has eventually progressed and developed into a company that support both the Windows platform and Google platform primarily. And they are very, very good at what they do. And so when we wanted to introduce our own professional development offering, it was a natural step for Lenovo to partner up with them. And so in a minute, Simon will give you an introduction as to what they do and how they do it. And then we partnered up with Intel, who delivers chips for us, but Intel actually also delivers fantastic content, fantastic curriculum on a lot of different things. And so the Skills for Innovation is a project that we share with them, and we have Crystal from Intel here to tell you all about it today. So without further ado, I'd like to give the stage to Simon from TA, and he'll spend the next around 20 minutes on talking about what they do. Over to you, Simon.
Thank you, Rasmus, and thank you for the kind introduction. So my name is Simon. I'm a former teacher. I spent several years teaching ICT and computer science before moving into consultancy, and I now work for a company called the Tablet Academy, or TA. As Rasmus mentioned, we just celebrated our 10th anniversary, and we started as a company supporting schools with the integration of tablets and iPads in the classroom. We've developed since then, so we now work with schools and trusts and colleges and universities to support them to move to the cloud, to support them with device integration, training of staff, and we also deliver workshops for students as well. And as part of our partnerships, we've been working with Lenovo and Intel on professional development, and we've been exploring the SFI development or professional development platform, which I wanted to explore with you today. So I've got a short video. Hopefully this will play, and hopefully you'll be able to hear this. And this video will just kind of give you a understanding of why professional development is really important, especially today.
We're perched at the edge of a revolution that expands our idea of the possible beyond what we've ever imagined. It will redefine the roles of humans and machines in the workplace to maximize innovation and creativity. Some call it the fourth industrial revolution. Some call it Industry 4.0. For the nearly 2 billion children in school around the globe, this shift will significantly impact their lives and their roles in the future workforce. These changes hold great promise to help us solve the greatest challenges facing our world. Today's young people will require higher order thinking skills so that they can solve problems in ways never imagined before. Even traditionally hands-on careers will harness the power of technology. These future jobs will demand analytical thinking, ideation and complex problem solving, systems analysis and evaluation, technology design and programming, creativity, innovation. Using technology to access and consume content is no longer sufficient. Students need devices, tools, and training to apply, analyze, and create at the pace of change. Intel's new vision for education embraces skills critical for students' future success and reinvents the role of the PC in the classroom to ensure the next generation has the technologies and tools they need to meet the challenges of a changing world. Intel is working with decision makers and educators worldwide to plan technology adoption that supports higher order thinking skills and maximizes learning outcomes to prepare students for the future. Together, let's empower the next generation of innovators.
So, according to a recent report, we're looking to lose by 2027 83 million declining job roles. So jobs like data entry clerks, statistical insurance clerks, legislators, administrators, but those will be replaced by 69 million emerging new roles, including AI and machine learning specialists, big data specialists, information security, and also sustainability specialists. And with that, we're going to see a change in the skills that children require for this new industrial revolution. Things like analytical thinking, creative thinking, resilience and flexibility, curiosity, empathy, and also leadership as well. And according to the same report, primary school children or primary school children today, 65% of those will end up doing a job that doesn't even exist yet. This is a problem that we've been faced for years. I faced this problem when I was teaching 20 years ago. It's not a new problem, but we are, as teachers, preparing children for jobs that don't even exist yet. Jobs like augmented reality journey builder, drone traffic optimizer, and self-driving car mechanic. No one could have predicted the pandemic. The same as no one could have predicted the proliferation of artificial intelligence and generative AI that we use today. And in the same way, we can't predict what technology children will be using in 10, 20 years' time. But what we can do is we can prepare them and teach them the skills that they need to be able to survive in this new industrial and technological world. So how do you prepare students for jobs that don't even exist yet? This is a question that Lenovo and Intel have been asking themselves, and we think we might have a solution. So Intel have recently introduced a program, professional development program, consisting of 80 hours called the SFI Professional Development. And the idea of the program is to give teachers the skills required to adapt to different technologies and allow students to adapt to these new technologies in the future. Support teachers in creating technology-infused learning environments to build these future-ready skills. So skills like coding, programming, AI, machine learning, modeling and simulation, and data science. But also keep teachers up to date with not only the newest tools, but also the newest theory and the latest ideas around teaching and learning. So the SFI Development Suite is built into 4 platforms. You have the Adapter, level 1, Owner, which is level 2, Leader of Learning Experiences, the Catalyst, which is all about creative confidence, and Mentor. Now, it's assumed that most teachers, because of the pandemic, will be at level 2 Owner, because the pandemic forced us to use online learning tools, working remotely. So most educators will be starting at level 2. So this gives you an idea of some of the courses available. So in level 1, we explore basics of multimedia, internet basics, word processing, spreadsheet basics, collaborative workspaces, which is why we believe that most teachers, because of the pandemic, will be on level 2. But then from level 2, we look at hybrid learning, blended learning, so taking what was learned from the pandemic and the tools we used and utilize them in a classroom environment. Also look at how do we develop critical thinking and creativity. And also how we can incorporate tools like artificial intelligence to inform and support teaching and learning. So I thought I'd use this opportunity to show you one of the courses. Now, I could have picked lots. One of my favorites is using AI and generative AI for role play or creating content or ideas for lessons, but I thought I'd try something a little bit different. One of the biggest challenges that I find in today, and it's not a new challenge, is fostering resilience with children. We have this environment where students aren't allowed to make mistakes or allowed to fail. So how do we make them resilient so that when they move into the world of work and they face their first problem or encounter new technology, how do they adapt? So I mentioned that one of the biggest problems with modern education system is children are just not allowed to fail. We have standardized testing, whether it's pass or fail, and right and wrong answers. And children aren't given the opportunity to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. And that's a really important part of the learning process. So how can we get our learners to take ownership and also embrace failure as part of the learning process? One way to do this is through a shift in mindset. So there's a current move towards using experiments to build independent learning, but also to embrace failure. And one of these tools or one of these ideas is called killer experiments. So killer experiments was an idea defined by Stephen Snowdy from the Coulter Foundation. And it's around this idea of killing a project before you spend significant amounts of time, money, or resources on it. So the philosophy around it is to learn from the mistakes and then decide from those mistakes whether to develop, modify, or stop the idea completely. So therefore, failure of an experiment is an acceptable and much needed part of the decision-making process. Why is this important? So by applying this type of mindset behind the killing experiments, we can open up a safe space for our children to learn, to fail, and to learn from those experiences. So what does it actually look like, though, in the classroom? So this is a video which demonstrates an example of how you can use killer experiments in your classroom. Now, traditionally what happens is with experiments, a child would be given a set of instructions and a method. So follow the method and then record the data. But they're not really learning anything other than how to record data and to analyze that data. So in this example, students are given a problem and they have to come up with the experiments themselves.
Developing the guided inquiry model based on the curriculum, but then the students are shaping where they want to go with it.
We're going to go through our lab sheet quickly, and then we're going to get into our experimental groups. They were told that 2 scientists had a mix-up in their lab. They had some seeds, they had some eggs, and now they don't know which are which. The students had the opportunity to decide what they thought would be helpful experiments for us to get to our answer. Instead of opening with a bunch of information and facts and details, the students are given a problem, and then they're the ones who get to drive the experiments.
We're trying to see which one's eggs and which one's seeds, but we don't know. So we're trying to figure out strategies that we can do. We make our steps, and then we test and see what happens. We've been planting them, and we think the seeds will grow and the eggs won't. I think they'll get bigger. Yeah, so once they get bigger, it would crack open.
Teachers are guiding with questions to really get students thinking and learning how to question themselves.
How might that help us figure out which are the eggs and which are the seeds, floating or sinking?
I might think the eggs are heavier than the seeds. I like doing it this way because you get to touch what you're actually doing instead of just looking at it.
We started with the inquiry model in science, and as we started to see students getting excited about finding answers to deeper level questions, we saw the power and how that could be implemented throughout the school day.
If you grab a tube of paint, there's no real connection to the science behind making that paint. I want them to see that art is everywhere, science is everywhere, math is everywhere.
And we are making paint out of household items today.
We started in the art room, following every step of the recipe.
Kids need background knowledge and some conceptual understanding of things.
How much salt do we need?
A quarter cup.
A quarter cup. So how many tablespoons is that?
4.
4.
The next step is, what do I want to wonder about now? How do I want to adjust this?
You have to form your questions so that you're not taking over their creative process, but helping that creative process. How can you make this paint fit your needs as an artist? As a scientist, how am I going to change or modify this paint so that it works?
So I want you to test that and remember to document what you did.
We wanted to change the texture because ours was a bit too lumpy for our liking, and we added a lot of ingredients.
For the inquiry to be successful, the question has to be appropriate. And so we really had to teach students what questions would work, how to model them.
My question that I had is, how could I get this to be in thinner paint so I can have like one straight line so it doesn't splatter everywhere?
The exciting piece of learning this way is that we don't always know what the outcome will be. It's a lot of risk involved in allowing your students to kind of just do some discovery learning on their own.
I learned that if you're making paint, use a liquid substance to make it thinner, but if you mix too many of the wrong things, it might just blow up. I think this is pretty good.
We want kids to be critical thinkers, to be problem solvers. Kids are getting to dig deep into the cause and effect relationships that occur in every field. When we open that up, it just empowers them to love learning.
We really don't have a limit. We get to learn how to do this stuff with our own ideas. It took a lot of time, but we did it.
So what I love about that video, there's a couple of things. The first one, as I mentioned before, traditionally when we think of experiments, we're given a method, we're given some instructions, and we're given some materials. So it could be science class, a Bunsen burner, a beaker, and some materials. And we've got a set of instructions that we follow, or the students follow, and then they record the data. The way that this differed was that the students were given a scenario. So the scenario in this case was that scientists had mislabeled some eggs and some seeds, and they didn't know which was which. So the students were challenged to come up with experiments that the scientists could then complete and follow to test to see which were the egg and which was the seed. So the students came up with the questions, and then they started to create their own experiments and come up with their own theories to try and work out which was which. It made me smile that one of them thought that eggs would be heavier than seeds. So when you place the egg in the water, the egg would sink to the bottom and the seed would float. But when they actually tried it, if it was a new egg, the egg kind of half floated in the water. So the experiment failed. That wasn't a failure, well, it was. But the students then realized, well, okay, that didn't work, so we'll try a different method. So it encourages students to ask their own questions and then try and, from that question, solve that by different experiments. Encourages problem solving, encourages creativity, but it also teaches them that if they get it wrong, then they can go back and try again and learn from their mistakes. The other nice thing about the video is it also shows that experiments aren't just for science classrooms. So we saw an example where a teacher was using experiments in art. So instead of telling a child that if you need to make the paint thinner or thicker, you need to add water, the student had to ask the question. So the student came up with the hypotheses, I want to make my paint thicker. How can I do that? And then the student tried different things. So tried adding different materials. So it could be flour or paste or different types of materials, or even try water to see if that would actually change the outcome to answer that question. And the reason why we do that is by adopting an evaluative experimental mindset, we allow our learners to embrace failure as a step towards innovation. So learning from their mistakes. That is just one example of one of the courses from the 80 hours in the Intel SFI. As I mentioned, there are other examples, such as using artificial intelligence to support role play. There's a great example where students act or role play historical figures, and they use AI to generate the answers for debates. There's also great examples of where teachers can use AI to create thought-provoking questions to start a debate, maybe on climate change, for example. And by completing each course, you will get a course certificate. And then by completing each of the courses in each of the 4 levels, you'll also get a level certificate. And for those of you that like your digital badges, there are course badges and level badges that you can share on social media and on your portfolios and in your email signatures as well. So if you want to find out more and want to check out the resources for yourself, you can visit skillsforinnovation.intel.com. So that's skillsforinnovation.intel.com, where you can find out more about the Intel SFI professional development resources, but also find the resources for the next session too.
Thank you very much, Simon. And you're finished, right? So I bring Crystal. Crystal, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Simon. So I think a lot of what Simon has said, really helps to introduce Intel Skills for Innovation. So thank you, Simon. I would like to introduce myself, and then for the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to give everyone a deep dive into how Intel Skills for Innovation is applied to AI in one of the starter packs that we have. So I'm Crystal, the Global Program Manager for this program called Intel Skills for Innovation. I'm based in Singapore, so it's nighttime now. All right, but still very happy to be with everyone today. Okay, so as Simon mentioned, this is the framework that Intel Skills for Innovation is designed around. So basically, we have 7 mindsets and skill sets that are, focused on, and it is with these 7 mindsets and skill sets that we designed both the professional development and also that Simon talked about just now, and the starter packs that I will be focusing more on. Right. So if I read out the 7 mindsets and skill sets, because I know it can be a little bit small on the slide. Okay, starting from the base, we have social emotional learning. Right. Then we have mindsets like design thinking and computational thinking. And then we have 4 skill sets, which are programming and coding, data science, modeling and simulation, and AI and machine learning. And today I'll be showing you how we apply AI and machine learning in a starter pack, which is basically a lesson package. So before I continue, I would also like to share, for all the educators in the audience that, when we created Skills for Innovation, we put together, education experts who mapped the mindsets and skill sets to Bloom's taxonomy. So the idea is, we are identified skills that help to prepare students for the future, as Simon talked about, but also that, we see the need, right, to have students acquire skills that are higher up on the Bloom's taxonomy, like creating and evaluating. So this is not to say that the skills lower down, like Bloom's taxonomy, is not important. It's just that when we created these lessons, it helps to help the teacher bring the students from understanding, remembering, all the way to creating and evaluating. So how Intel has brought this vision to reality is there are 4 main steps. Okay, so first, there is a program that is designed for decision makers, right? And so that's an Intel SFI planning toolkit. And then second, there is Intel SFI starter pack. So these are lesson resources that teachers can download from our website, right? And today I'll be sharing with you the code that you can use to download the starter packs, all of them, right? So we have 70 starter packs. That's 140 hours of lessons. It's ready to go. You can download them and you can use it starting from as early as tomorrow. Right, so starter packs are lesson resources that teachers can use with students in class. When you download them from our platform, they are in the form of zip files, right? When you open them up, there are PDFs, there are PowerPoints, and there are worksheets that you can use in your classroom. Then for number 3, learn. Right, so this is the professional development that Simon was explaining about. Right, so the idea is, when we created the starter packs, we thought, we wanted to show teachers how a lesson that has infusion of technology, uses the PC, and it has real world relevance. How does a lesson like that look like? Right? But we did not create a starter pack for every single lesson that is possible within K-12, right? And so we developed professional development because the ultimate goal is to empower educators to be able to create similar lessons for your students, for your local context, right? And so that's why there's also the professional development. Then finally, we deploy with many ecosystem partners around the world. So now Intel Skills Foundation is in 48 countries, and we have been translated into 20 languages so far. So a very quick recap, right? So I know Simon went into detail with level 1, level 2, and especially talking about killer experiments within level 2. Right, so these are, the 4 suites, and I just wanted, the 4 levels within the suite, and I just wanted to add that you don't have to go through, all the courses from level 1 to level 4, right? The way that we design them is that each course is a standalone course, and you as a teacher, you can choose where you want to begin based on your own technology, proficiency and your level of comfort. Okay, so as I said, today I will focus more on number 2, the experience, which is the SFI starter packs. Right, so we have a library of 70 activities, up to 140 hours of content, and these activities have been mapped to elementary, middle, and high school grade levels, and also integrated into the subject areas STEM, language, and humanities. So if you don't go by elementary, middle, and high, right, we can there is a curriculum mapping workshop that we also offer to help teachers to map it to your own curriculum. So for example, I am based in Singapore. I used to be an educator. So in Singapore, we use the terms primary school, secondary school, and tertiary, right? And so, I would just replace those terms with elementary, middle, and high, right? So ultimately, the reason why we met to grade levels and subject areas is because we know how busy teachers are, right? So teachers probably do not have time to do something additional on top of all of the curriculum that they have to go through. And so the starter packs were designed for teachers to use in class during curriculum time with students. So how this works is, if you are, say, a geography teacher, right? And so we have starter packs that are met to geography. So you'll look at the geography starter packs and you'll see which one has lesson objectives that match the lesson objectives that you are trying to teach in that year. And in place of the lesson that you were going to do, you can use the starter packs as your lesson. Okay, we also offer deployment help. So within our educator guides, we have set up instructions how you can prepare your classroom in terms of hardware and software, right? On top of that, we also offer regular introductory workshops and webinars for educators. And as I mentioned, we have a curriculum mapping workshop, so we can map the activities to your curriculum too. So when you download the starter pack, these are the components. Okay, there is a teaching guide, teacher guide on the left. So a teacher guide is basically a PDF where a teacher can read through in order to prepare for the lesson, right? So the teacher guide includes things like what are the objectives, how do you install the software, and also it is to be used in conjunction with the in-class slide deck, right? So the educator guide or the teaching guide will tell the educator, okay, for slide 2, right, these are what activities you can conduct, these are the questions that you can ask, right? On slide 4, right, these are maybe some of the questions that you can ask and some of the suggested answers. Also, we provide working files. So some of our starter packs cover code a code, right? Because AI, machine learning, programming, coding, those are the mindsets. So definitely we have starter packs that cover code. The coding language that we use is Python. And a common comment I get from educators is, can I still use this starter pack if I don't know Python at all? Right? The answer is yes, because the way that we've designed the lesson is we provide the worksheets and the working files, right? So with the worksheets, the teachers will act as a facilitator, right? And we'll teach the students, or we'll go through the lesson by facilitating the activities. So in the worksheets, the students will follow the step-by-step guide, right? And you will say, oh, copy this code, paste it into this environment, and then run the code. And doing a few of these activities, the students will be led to answer questions in the worksheet, such as, what do you think this code is doing? Why do you think there's this output? And so it's a deductive process where they eventually realize, oh, what is this code actually doing? So that's how we have designed the lesson such that teachers don't have to know Python in order to do starter packs related to code. Okay, we have AI, many questions about AI typically, because AI is, all the rage now. So we have 19 starter packs related to AI. And they use these following programs such as AI Dungeon, Scratch, Python, Pencil Code, Arduino, right, and many more. And so I will dive into one of the starter packs today that uses Python. Okay, so I also wanted to add that in Skills Foundation starter packs, right, we focus a lot on drawing real world and authentic learning experiences. Okay, and so today I will be introducing Eyes on Wildlife, which is the second from the right. Okay, and this is some of the slides were taken from the teacher's deck for this starter pack. So when you get the teacher's deck, right, usually the top header, right, will tell you what mindsets and skill sets are the focus for this lesson. Okay, so from the top left, you see that this is a middle school starter pack, right? We are focusing on computational thinking, specifically the sub-skill of pattern recognition. And then we are focusing on the skill set, AI and machine learning, specifically about computer vision. So you see later on in the slides how we have made links to real world, real world situations, but also integrating technology and also meeting the biology concepts. Okay, so this starter pack is called Eyes on Wildlife. We've mapped it to biology, and this covers the topic of poaching. Okay, so one of the slides in our teaching deck covers, typically we talk about the situation, we talk about some of the content and the subject knowledge first, right? So here it establishes some, common information that students should have, or we will level up the whole class so that all of them will have common knowledge about poaching before we delve into, how you can stop it, or why it's bad, or how is technology used. So the teacher will be led through the teaching guide, right, to facilitate a discussion around why poaching exists, right? So there are many reasons. Maybe people are trying to get exotic pets. Maybe they're trying to buy some exotic food. Maybe they want to use it for jewelry, right? So firstly, establishing the background. Of course, the teacher will also go into a discussion around the negative impacts of poaching, right, such as diseases, extinction risks, conflict, crime, loss of life. And then in the lesson, we link it to this, real park, right? So this is a national park that uses technology to optimize ranger patrol, and we simulate that using computer vision. And this is how we introduce AI in this starter pack. So firstly, we introduce computer vision, right? The teachers will be led to ask students like, what do you think computer vision is? How do you think computers can see, right? We also talk about like how computer vision is actually done or used in computers. So here is a contrast of like on the left, what you see with your eyes versus on the right, right? Computers usually see with just ones and zeros, right? Numbers. Okay, so I've recorded 2 videos to show you just what a student and a teacher will go through if they go through this starter pack. So what you see here is this software called Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook is just an environment that will allow students and teachers to run Python code. So the code here is taken from a worksheet. So in the zip file that teachers can download, there will be a worksheet, and the worksheet will have all of the code. Then students just copy and paste, and then they will click run. So in this video, you'll see the student toggling between the screen that is Jupyter Notebook and the screen that has the worksheet. So that will be in the form of a Word document. Okay, so there's no audio in this video. I'll play it, and then at certain points, I will stop and explain to you what you're looking at. Okay, so now you see the student is scrolling up, right? So the code is already in Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so when the student click run, right, in a few steps before this, the student was asked to upload a video, right? And the video was provided as part of the working files. So this is a real video of a wildlife camera, and the code is actually doing something, right? Okay, so let's watch. This is a real wildlife cam, so the animals are taking a while to come on. Okay, I don't know if anyone caught that, but there was a green box here. Okay, so I'm just going to rewind a little bit so that it's clearer. Oh, did I miss the green box? Okay, so the green box was there. Okay, so here you see some output, right? And obviously I've annotated over this video. Okay, but you see the year 2023, 10/26, that's the date, the month, time, and then even down to the seconds, right? Date, time, object, and then there's a location tag. So how the students will go through these activities, they will run the code, and then the worksheet will ask them, what do you think this output is? Right? And so with their knowledge of poaching that the teacher has covered in the earlier slides, right, they will, talk about it and guess, and usually people will guess because the year and the month and the date is pretty obvious. Okay, so this is, an example of how students are learning AI in a class in a starter pack. I want to show you a possible extension activity. So, say you thought that, oh, now my students know that, they can use that code. Maybe a challenge, right, could be that how can the students modify the code so that they use computer vision, right? So that means the webcam of their own PC, their own laptop, instead of using a video that was already recorded like you saw in the previous video. So this is a second version, right, that uses the student webcam instead of a pre-recorded video. So let's watch. Okay, so the code is there already. The student presses run. Okay, so I needed to do a video today. So it's not because I'm using my webcam now, so I cannot run my webcam and also, talk to you with my webcam. So that's why I recorded this video. But this is an example of a student using a webcam and then, trying to just use soft toys as placeholders, imagining that, you're actually recording in a poaching in a national park. Okay, so imagine that there's a real elephant. Okay, and so now the code is detecting movement, right? So that's the green box. And instead of having the code output only output at the end, you see that the date and the time is now here also. So that is an extension activity, right? Where teachers can ask students to do. So in fact, in our experience, now with the prevalent use of ChatGPT, actually writing code has become a lot more straightforward, and asking students to edit the code that we give them and to do things like this. Like you can even write in ChatGPT and say, okay, with this code, I want to activate my webcam and I want the timestamp to show today's date or today's time or the time now or whatever. And this is the product of that. Okay, so usually when I do webinars, there is like a live stream of questions that I can answer, but because we're using StreamYard, I can't see the questions, so maybe I will leave all of the questions to the end, and I will talk about how you can get access to all of the resources that Simon and I have talked about today. Okay, so firstly, before I go to that, I want to say that we have an ambassador program. We are actively recruiting ambassadors. Okay, so there are 2 tiers of ambassadors, either the silver or the gold. For you to become a silver ambassador, all you need to do is implement 1 starter pack in your class and then submit a template that has a simple write-up about what you have done in your class. Right, and then to be a gold ambassador, you have to attend a train the trainer session and conduct the train the trainer session for at least 20 educators, and then create 1 forum post. You can become a gold ambassador. Okay, so why become a silver and gold ambassador? Okay, so we're always looking for educators to talk about skills for innovation in many of the education conferences we are at. Also, with Lenovo, and we would like anyone who's interested to apply to be ambassador by going on our platform, and this is how you can get on our platform. Right, so if you have a handphone now, you can scan the QR code. If not, then you could go to this URL and then type the code Lenovo SFI on the top right hand corner. There's a button register. Okay, if you type Lenovo SFI, you will go to this website and create an account. Once you create an account, log in, all of the resources that we've talked about is freely available to you. Right, so that is so just to recap, right, when you go into this website and you create an account, what you will get is access to 80 hours of professional development content, including all of the courses that Simon was talking about. You can also get certificates and badges after doing the professional development. You will also get access to all of the starter pack resources. I only showed you 1, but there are another 70 examples for you to choose from. I believe after this, Constantino can also share the links that I have. You can click on those links and it will bring you directly to the registration page, so that you don't have to key in the code Lenovo SFI yourself. Okay, so Constantino,
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for this very, very interesting presentation. I have to say, it was very nicely detailed, and we have shared the links in the chat. So anyone that wishes to join, they can click there and join that. Before going into any questions, if somebody has questions, please put them on the chat. We haven't had any yet. I think you were very detailed in your presentation, but that's very good for anyone also watching the recording later. I will bring back Rasmus. I don't know if Rasmus is here with us. Yes, I will bring you
still
back.
Without video though. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah. So just from my side, I think with the 2 presentations we just heard in mind, I think it's a good example of what we're trying to do. Exactly, bring expert educators to help expert educators develop their practices. And so that is why we're partnering with TA, and that is why we're partnering with Intel around the platform and the materials they bring to the table. And so it's a lot to digest, and there's been a lot of details in this call, and if there are any questions, as Constantino said, we're happy to answer them now, or you can revert back to us afterwards. Please log on to the Intel platform and see if there's something you can use, something your colleagues could use. But moreover, next time you are about to iterate on how you do things with technology in your classroom, remember to bring us to the table, talk to your local reseller, talk to your local Lenovo representative, and we're happy to assist you and accommodate the contact to TA or to Intel for those questions or those things and inquiries you might have. I think that that's the most important message from us is as we've always done, we'd love to provide you with the right technology to what you want to do. But moreover, we would really love for you to connect with TA and with Intel to make sure that your projects become even better and the practices that you want to see unfold in your classroom actually unfolds. And I think with that, Konstantinos, that's all from my side. I just thank you for having us.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Rasmus. And thank you for the collaboration as well with European Schoolnet and the Future Classroom. And I will bring back Crystal and Simon because we have had the chance to have Intel Skills for Innovation webinars in the past as well. And one of the recurring question is, these are all super nice resources and they look very nice when Crystal, for example, goes through them. But for the average teacher that kind of perhaps has the basic knowledge of using technology in education and they want to start, it might be a bit overwhelming, even looking at, as you said, the code might be ready, but even introducing it into the application to run it might be a bit overwhelming for them. So I want to ask you both, what is your suggestion when it comes to those teachers? So how can they start? I know that, of course, there is the guides online, but do you have any tips for them to give them on how they can start by implementing perhaps small steps to introduce themselves into the wealth of resources and information that you have on the platform? I don't know if, Simon or Crystal, any one of you would like to take it.
I'm happy to answer that, unless Crystal. So I have a couple of tips. The first one is that you can actually search. The SF5 platform allows you to search by subject area, also allows you to search by discipline and year group and age range, but you can also search by software as well. So you can look at the different, search for the different software tools and choose a piece of software that one you might be familiar with or might be interested in. There's some really nice activities around VR and creating VR experiences that are really easy for even educators that haven't picked up the technology. The other thing to say about the actual packs, and Crystal will probably back me up on this, is that they're designed for you to be the facilitator. So they're designed for students to be able to follow step by step in their own time, and they have troubleshooting guides and support for the teacher, support both the teacher and the students with that. So I wouldn't always worry or concern yourself with, being worried about being behind the students with regards to the technology, or feel that the software is too difficult. I also recommend there, as a good starter lesson, particularly around the use of AI, there's an activity called, I think it's called Make Me Happy, which explores sentiment analysis. And the students explore machine learning, and they create a chatbot that can recognize if you're being nice or you're being mean. But it uses a platform called Machine Learning for Kids.co.uk, and that uses Scratch or Python. And I find that's really, really easy for children to pick up. So that's a nice activity. But as I said, all the packs, and Crystal back me up on this, are designed for the students to follow themselves and for you to be there as like a facilitator, as a guide. But those are my top tips.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, and just before giving it to Crystal, I think what is the excellent element here is that the platform integrates also different tools that, like Scratch, as you mentioned. So anyone that is familiar with simpler, let's say, technology or visual programming can very easily also integrate these elements into the work in the starter packs. Crystal?
Yeah. Konstantinos, if you can help, I'm not sure if you can share my screen. So I've shared a new screen. Yes, that's great. Okay, so I didn't get the chance to share the platform just now. This is what the platform looks like. And I want to show the filters that Simon was talking about. Okay, so after you log on, this is the page. You navigate using the white navigational bar on the top. So I want to show, the starter pack page, right? And these are the filters that you can apply. So I would like to recommend, starting with block-based programming. If you find that you're new to programming and you want to introduce your students to code and computational thinking, but maybe not yet the code itself. So here, CodeSpaces, Scratch, and Pencil Code. I'm just gonna zoom in if anybody wanted to take a screenshot. So these three software, are within the programming and coding skill set, but they use block-based programming. So that means that in the interface you will be dragging blocks that have like it's already pre-coded, and this will allow students to first understand like computational thinking. So like if this happens, then something will happen. If not, do something else. Right? So these three, through our experiences of doing, pilots with many different schools, these three are usually quite popular. And then from there, we can then move on to, things like Jupyter Python that I showed you just now.
Thanks a lot very much for this also visual representation of how you can implement the filters, Crystal. We have a question now from a teacher from Greece, and that's something that I have experienced as a student there as well. So Stavroula asks, how can teachers without technical equipment for their class can implement the starter packs? In Greece, only computer science teachers have access to the computer labs. And unfortunately, very few teachers have one-to-one devices for their students. So do you have any, perhaps, ideas of starter packs that are more kind of unplugged activities and teachers can prepare in advance at their house and then bring it to the classroom?
All of the starter packs require a PC to use. However, from our experience with other countries, if teachers don't have access to one-to-one devices, sometimes I wonder if it's possible for other teachers other than the computer science teachers to use the lab. So I've seen models in other countries where teachers rotate out of the lab, right, in and out of the lab, and so different subject teachers can use the facilities. If not, I've also seen, where there's like a center of excellence. So maybe a school has a lab, right, and then the neighboring schools can also come in. I mean, I believe this is a larger conversation around like whether infrastructure can support, but the starter packs do require a PC to run.
Okay, so even the implementation then of the lesson, all of them require technology.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for this information. And then perhaps a last question would be about the ambassadors program. So you mentioned that you have 2 levels of ambassadors. Is there kind of a country cluster as well? Are there benefits with regarding to networking opportunities for them, learning, peer-to-peer learning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I can share my screen again. So this is thank you. So this is the platform. So in the top bar, right, you would see ambassador program. Okay, so maybe I'll show you what the interface looks like first, and then I'll talk about what are the benefits. Okay, so here this is how you apply. Basically, you download the template, you upload the template, right? You follow the instructions here. A lot of teachers have been able to follow the instructions, and if it's not clear, feel free to email us. I don't know. I mean, I will leave my email here in the private chat. Konstantinos, you can also share it to everyone so that they can email me if there are questions. Okay, but basically the ambassador program is a closed group of educators who we have regular webinars with, right? At least one webinar a month where educators from different countries come together and they will share how they've used Skills for Innovation. On top of that, we also, tell the ambassadors about opportunities that are coming up. Like, for example, if there are events that are coming up that we need ambassadors to be around for, we will, let ambassadors know, and then you can sign up. We also have exclusive access to, like, say, talking to executives within Intel. Also, they'll get invites to all of the webinars that we also do. So those are just some of the benefits.
No, that's great, and I think that's very important, because I'm sure that teachers from across the world value peer-to-peer learning and opportunities to network, learn from each other, and really discover new opportunities for their teaching, basically. So I think with this, we have reached the end of our webinar today. I don't know if you want Simon and Crystal to say any final words. We heard before from Rasmus, but I don't know if you want to say something before we close.
I just want to follow up with the question about the technology. Just remember that whilst all of the packs require some sort of technology, although some of it, quite a lot of it is cloud-based, so potentially for things like CoSpaces and Scratch, students could use if they have access to Wi-Fi, depending on the technology, could use their mobile phones or tablets or iPads and things like that, because it's cloud-based. The other thing to remember is that the professional development isn't all. There's a lot of talk of using technology to support teaching learning, but it's not all. And I gave a classic example of the killer experiments and inquiry-based learning. So there's lots of strategies in the professional development platform that doesn't require the use of technology.
Excellent. Yeah. Thanks a lot for this clarification, Simon.
From me, it's just everyone who wants to register, please do, right? Click on the link and register. And yeah, we will reach out to you because you have signed in with the Lenovo SFI code. So with follow-up webinars, we will email through the registration base that we have. So please register if you are interested, and yeah, hope to see you in future webinars.
Thank you very much both, and thank you to both Lenovo and Intel and Tablet Academy for participating in this webinar with us today, and to all our participants for following us today live. Just bear in mind that the webinar is recorded and will be saved, and you can rewatch it on the platform that you are watching us from. And yeah, that was the last webinar for 2023 from European Schoolnet and the Future Classroom Lab. Stay tuned for the series that is coming up for 2024, and have a nice evening, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.